What is going on, lads? Welcome back to the Cop Logic channel. It's Jake here for you today. And today I've got a video exploring who could be Liverpool's potential new sporting director. Now, we did have Jörg as our sporting director for, about 6 months, give or take. But if you know your stuff around Liverpool, you know he was only ever a temporary assignment. And recently it was made clear, I don't know if it's off the back of the Klopp news, but recently it was made clear that he would leave at the end of the winter transfer window. So in the last 3 days, he's been unemployed. I don't think we've sacked him or anything along those lines. I think it was just with the state of the news from last week and Liverpool's ownership looking at the hierarchy with Jürgen Klopp leaving, with Pep Lijnders leaving, with Peter Krawietz also leaving, and Vitor Matos leaving. I just reckon that Liverpool's ownership, so the board, FSG, John Henry, they've all sat down together and looked at the hierarchy and gone, okay, let's just gut this whole thing and let's just build it back anew. And obviously with the likes of Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mo Salah having their contracts expire relatively soon, we will need a sporting director to come in and be able to sort that out, as well as obviously incoming and outgoing transfers. And to be honest, it's not completely out of the picture that they could even come in and have a say on who becomes the next Liverpool manager if we do it in this order. According to some reports, we've got our head of data or football analysis in Will Spearman, well, spearheading this operation. But FSG have apparently recruited a very well-known and very well-respected sporting executive in Theo Epstein to come in and act as sort of like an advisor or a consultant while we go through this refresh. And don't worry, I know you heard the surname. I've had assurances he's not related to Jeffrey. But apparently he's got a very impressive CV. He's mainly a Major League Baseball executive, but he's come in at the likes of the Red Sox and at the Cubs. And apparently he's done very well at both of those clubs or teams. I don't really know what you call baseball groups, but apparently he's come in and he's ended droughts for them. And I think when this news first broke, that everyone thought he was going to be the next sporting director for us, and I don't think he is. I can just see that it looks like he's going to be consulted and be an advisor to us while we go through this refresh. But it's promising because we've seen loads of people come in and tell us the stories about how well he's done, and it's rare that you see people respect that level of the hierarchy and want to go out their way to say how good they are. But just to paint a picture on how well respected this guy is in the sports industry and why we should be excited that he's on board for this refresh project we've got going on. He's 3 times World Series champion. He's the 2008 Major League Executive of the Year. He's the 2009 Sport News Executive of the Decade, Sports Illustrated Best General Manager of the Decade, and Times Magazine's top 100 most influential people in the world. And this guy's coming in for us. And I know everyone's immediate criticism of this guy was, well, has he got any background in football? And the honest answer is no. But honestly, I don't really think it matters all too much. When you get to this sort of aspect of football, like all the behind the closed doors, executive stuff, admin stuff, as long as you've got experience in sports, I think you can translate that between the different sports anyway. But I reckon between him and Will Spearman, we'll have exactly what we need, all the tools we need to get the right sporting director in, and then also the right manager, and sort out the coaches and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's enough about who could be bringing in the next sporting director. Let's actually have a look at the candidates who could come in and do the job for us. So I've got a couple of candidates here. I'm going to be looking at who they are, where they've worked before, what major things they might have committed to their clubs at the time. And just take a brief look into the last transfer window at those clubs and just see, what sort of idea we can get from them with regards to fees and players. And so the first name on my list is Richard Hughes of Bournemouth. Now, he was an ex-player that used to play for Bournemouth, but he actually retired in 2014 and was brought in immediately as their chief of recruitment and football. He's apparently highly regarded and massively credited with them winning promotion in 2015 and 2022, and some of his significant signings do include Nathan Ake for 41 million euros, or pounds rather, Callum Wilson for 20 million, and Tyrone Mings for 25 million. He has recently said he's going to be stepping down or resigning from his post at Bournemouth, but I don't know if this was before or after the Liverpool links came in. What I will say is, if it's after the rumours, then it looks like he might be trying to free himself up so that Liverpool can go in for him. If it's before the rumours came in, then it looks like it's just people reading too much into it. He might have just resigned, and then Liverpool have said that they need a new sporting director, and people are reading too much into it. But I don't know which one it is. So we're just going to look at Bournemouth's last couple of transfer windows. I'm just going to go through a couple of the players that I do know that they've brought in and for what fee, just to help paint a bit of a better picture as to who he is and what fees he's going to get from people. Obviously, this isn't entirely down to him. There'll be other teams that work with him in the background, like the recruitment and the analysis team. But it'll still help paint a bit of a better picture for us. So first up was Tyler Adams. He joined from obviously Leeds in the Championship. He joined for 26.9 million euros. We were linked to him at one point, so I do know what kind of player he is. I think he's very injury prone, but I do think he's got talent. I think I remember from last season thinking that he's one of those players that are going down to the Championship but does deserve to be a Premier League player. So Bournemouth getting him in for 26.9 million euros, which is probably about 23, 24 million pounds. I think that's probably about his actual value, to be fair. So yeah, I think that's a good bit of business. Next up, we've got Alex Scott, a central midfielder from Bristol City. He joined for 23 million euros. Haven't seen him play very often, but I believe he's highly regarded in the Championship. I think he's probably going to be one of those players that if they stay up, he'll bolster the squad for them, but if they go down, he'll be a great player for them. So I think that's a very smart bit of business. 23 million euros, probably about 20, 21 million pounds, probably. Maybe a bit high, but if he is a sort of one of those players that they are considering to be one, good in the Premier League, and also two, exceptional in the Championship, I think that's fine. Next up is Max Aarons from Norwich. He was brought in for 8.10 million euros. I think this is actually probably the best one on the list, to be honest with you. I think his performances haven't been as good to this standard, but I think a few years ago, Max Aarons playing right back at Norwich, loads of people wanted this guy. He was touted as one of the best, like, upcoming right backs. And I think Bournemouth getting him in for 8.10 million euros is decent. And they've also brought in Luis Sinisterra on loan from Leeds as well. I'll be honest, don't really know how he's been playing for Bournemouth, but I know at Leeds he was probably one of those energetic, eager left wingers. And if he's been doing that at Bournemouth, I think that's another decent signing. So next up on the list is Tim Steidten from West Ham. He's currently the Spawn director, and he was brought in the summer from Bayer Leverkusen. That is a hint. Don't let that escape your brain. But he was also previously at Werder Bremen. Allegedly, when he came into West Ham, there was a bit of a stir between him and David Moyes because he wanted a bit more control than what was being given to him. I honestly think this could be beneficial towards Liverpool because I think when we recruit these places, we'll go back to the days from like Michael Edwards' time where the Spawn director will be the one that is the final decision on who comes in and who gets what. The manager might have a say, but I don't think that ultimately they will be the one that bring in the players. I think you'll have to be another Jürgen Klopp to do that. And if he wants more control than what West Ham are willing to give him, you know, our door's open. He was responsible for bringing in the likes of Serge Gnabry and Kevin De Bruyne at Werder Bremen. And get ready for this, at Leverkusen, he was responsible for bringing in the likes of Florian Wirtz, Edmund Tapsoba, Moussa Diaby, Jeremy Frimpong, Patrick Schick, and Piero Hincapié. All solid players. And I actually think he started at Bayer Leverkusen as the head of scouting. So having that experience to be head of scouting and then become Spawn director, I think is something we'll value massively. Oh, and one other little detail that might be beneficial to us. He may or may not have been the man responsible for bringing someone called Xabi Alonso to Bayer Leverkusen, which coincidentally is also the same Xabi Alonso we might want as our manager. So, you know, if they've already got that relationship and he comes in as our Spawn director and then, you know, FSG happened to say, who do you think, Tim, who do you think we should bring in as our new manager? There's only this guy that used to play for Liverpool's midfield that is currently in the Bundesliga who's undefeated at the minute. He might be good. But anyway, other than that, the other players he's brought in a bit more recently for West Ham are Mohamed Kudus and Edson Alvarez, both from Ajax. Mohamed Kudus for 43 million euros and Edson Alvarez for 38 million euros. And he's also brought in James Ward-Prowse for 34 million euros from Southampton as well. And I think all of them have been decent signings for West Ham, especially Kudus and James Ward-Prowse. Kudus, I'd probably say, has probably been worth his price tag for West Ham so far this season. And James Ward-Prowse, we know the kind of talent that guy had, and to get him in for 34 million euros, I expected that would have been way higher, but apparently it's 34 million euros. So he's certainly got an eye for talent, and he's decent at getting fees in. So this is my favourite by far, and he's definitely the perfect candidate if we want to get Xabi Alonso in. So, you know, get it done, John, get it done. But that is going to be it for this video, so let me know out of these two who is your favourite and who you see most likely coming in, or even if you've got a left field shout for Spawn director, let me know who that would be in the comments down below. I have to say my favourite will probably be Tim Steidten, but the most likely option is probably Richard Hughes, considering he's left his position at Bournemouth, but let me know what you think. And if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like down below and make sure to subscribe and click the bell for notification for reminders. It sounds like, again, as per usual with Liverpool, it's going to be a solid 4, 5, 6 months. Seeing who we get in as Spawn director, who we get in as a coach, who we get in as signings in the summer as well. It's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big ass year for Liverpool. So yeah, make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any of our videos. That's going to be it for me, so I'll see you lads in the next video. In a bit, lads.